Hello, guys. Welcome back to my channel, and happy to have you all once again over here. Welcome back to my new series where we are going to talk about how we can masters AWS DevOps monitoring. Uh, we would be talking about the insights, and we would be start talking about the strategies that you can use for your AWS DevOps monitoring. So AWS DevOps monitoring is one of the key factor that comes into picture for your daily roles and responsibilities if you're working as a AWS DevOps engineer. So when I came up with the idea, so I thought that uh, I do that on a daily basis, but what if I call someone special who is specialized into it and who does it on daily basis, not only working for one company, he works with n number of clients. So he has experience across the domain. So it can be a banking domain, it can be a healthcare domain, it can be some other domain. So I invited Sandeep Das, the one and only, who would be having experience about all the domains and who would be sharing with you the insights and strategies that he has been following as part of the DevOps engineer role that he is working upon from a very long time. So let's call upon Sandeep Das, who would be our guest speaker today and who would be uh, enlightening us with some uh, use cases, real-time use cases, with some background that what exactly monitoring is, what kind of strategy you should plan for it. So let me get on Sandeep. Hey, hi Sandeep.
Everyone. Hey, hey, hey. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for asking. How about you?
Doing great.
So, welcome to the series where we are going to talk about AWS DevOps monitoring. And I was just speaking to my audience that this specific episode is going to be uh, sharing insights and strategies about AWS monitoring. And what if we have someone who has actually worked into multiple domains like healthcare, then banking, then other different kinds of client, be it a startup or be it some e-commerce. So I thought Sandeep would be the right person to enlighten us with his experiences or something. So Sandeep, before we start with the difficult questions that are the real-time questions as part of this
Okay.
specific topic that we are going to discuss today.
Mhm.
Would you like to introduce yourself or throw some light onto the topic that we are going to discuss today?
Definitely, definitely. So many of you might already know I'm Sandeep Das, senior cloud and DevOps engineer, working for around more than 11 years now, and sorry, specialized in cloud and DevOps domain and programming as well. Now, what are the domains Dheeraj just talking about? What are the domains that I've worked on? Now, it's not just healthcare, it's not just e-commerce. I have worked on AI startups, a lot of, like, more than three startup AI startup have worked, which involve machine learning, and I've worked uh, on a few companies that directly deal with only data and analytics. Okay, so yeah, I have a lot of experience doing that. You can say around 1 or 2 year I was just working on only analytics, metrics collection and monitoring of all these things. Yeah, I'll happy to share all the experience with you guys, and yeah, let's get started. Yeah, Neeraj.
Okay, so if it's time to get started, so let's start with our first question, Sandeep. So, can you tell me, as per your experience, what are the key components of effective monitoring? So, for example, suppose if I am looking forward, if I am working as a DevOps engineer
Mhm.
into a company, and if I have been given a task as a DevOps engineer that I have to enable effective monitoring framework for my specific application that has been hosted on AWS cloud. So if this question goes to you as a task, what would be your key components that you would be focusing upon? Over to you,
Definitely, I
Sandeep.
will. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So first of all, as a DevOps engineer or cloud engineer, okay, first thing they will ask you to collect all the metrics about the resource utilization. Now, what are these resource utilizations are? First of all, the CPU, and this is a very key metric: how much CPU your application or your application is actually utilizing, because that based on that the cost depends, right? And not just only the CPU, the memory also. And now there are many kind of solution, but all sending to very common two element, that is CPU and memory. Based on this two combination, all the cost related things are gathered around. Okay, so first is that. Second option is that, or you can say second second reason or second thing that they will ask you is that infrastructure monitoring. Now you are monitoring resource utilization, for example, the network utilization or CPU or RAM. Not just that, the components that if you deploy infrastructure, okay, that doesn't only have the instances. It also involves, say I will say, involves databases. Okay, in that you need to know the IO, and not just IO, you also need to know the read capacity, write capacity, the op logs. A lot of things are there. Okay, so that one, even the email that you send. Okay, so for example, AWS is just a quick example, or any email sending kind of application if you have, then they also want to know how many emails they're sending per second or per minute, how many getting bounced. So infrastructure, it just, so what my point here is that infrastructure doesn't mean that it's only about the machines that you spin. No, it's not just that. There are other resources, for example S3 or say any storage, for example the databases, for example the application usage. Okay, on not just that, there is for example this email sending that I've told you, right? So all these things. Third one is that application performance monitoring. Okay, it's okay. We talked about some resource monitoring, right? Resource means the actual CPU and memory usage. We talked about infrastructure monitoring, which is about the services that you have deployed on, say, a particular cloud service provider. Uh, could be machines, could be XYZ services. Then the application that you're running, right? So is there any latency happening? Is there any bug error that's happening? Is there any crashes happen, like 500 response code, or any 400 responses happening? All those things, okay, you have to track. And why? Because the key stakeholders, specifically CTO, CEO, even say your performance, if you have a dedicated SRE team, or maybe as a kind of a internal meeting, sometime you have to represent all this data to the company. And problem happened that when you are newly getting started, you are the kind of fresh person, you don't know all this, you don't know how to get started, where to get started. The moment they start asking, like, give me that, give me this, then the problem happens. That's why they started scolding you, like, where is the data, why did you enable the data collection, or why are you not keeping it, right? So that's why all these things needed. Now if someone say this is it, I will say no, this is not it. It's not that about the your resource utilization. It's not about application performance, which is mainly specific to latency and error codes, or say response handling and all that. And of course sometimes that's the service communications. And it's not just like, not just limited to that. It also involves the security and compliance. Like, if you have very good service, okay, and someone able to quickly hack the data, or if you don't have the encryption enable, you have to monitor, is that one particular service that should have the encryption enable, is it encryption enabled or not? So all these things you should be preparing for, you should be tracking, actively monitoring. Okay, so all these things are required. Okay, it's not like security is not my job. No, security is actually everyone's job. Even if you ever learn, or if you go through the philosophy of DevSecOps, it's specifically saying DevSecOps security is not just a developer job, it's not just a DevOps engineer job. It's not that the security guy's job, it's everyone's job. From the application developer to the person who is maybe the operation team is not doing the active development, or just release manager, everyone should be aware of security. So you should have the measures. Okay, at least the people who are doing what. Okay, like say user kind of access logs, who access what feature or what application, when accessed it, did he have the authority over the particular feature or not? Those things also you have to actually track. Okay, now where I talk all about this, now there is one more thing, is that that you can say it can be part of the infrastructure monitoring. But I want to just highlight, because we are all DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, there is a scale up and scale down. Okay, because you need to track that one, so that you know which point in time you have the spike happens. For example, maybe at the time of sales, for example, you are an e-commerce guy. Okay, I mean, not e-commerce guy, I mean that you are DevOps engineer for the e-commerce platform, for example. Now you have to know, if at a certain time, if you run promotional offers, then how much the services spike up. Okay, so that next time you are well prepared. Okay, so that's why all these things are needed. Now, Dheeraj, I think I gave it very good few points. I will be going as. Dheeraj?
Yes, definitely. So, what I understood from the input that you have provided, that whenever we are looking at the key components, so
Hmm.
the key components that we should be looking upon. So, the first key component should be resource utilization. Second key
Hmm.
component should be infrastructure health. Third key component should be security and compliance, and the fourth key component should be scaling and auto scaling. So we have
Right.
to monitor this. These are the basic key components that each and every company is looking for, be it healthcare department, be it AI startup, as you said,
Right.
or be it a normal startup, e-commerce. So
Uh,
thank you,
even
Sandeep.
even just as
Yeah.
a kind of hint up, okay, just as a hint up, I opt for, 2 3, AI startups, and the AI means they're also machine learning, okay, and all, like, they're doing every single of computation mostly on the data they collect, okay, and not just to collect and compute, you have to represent the data in a meaningful way to the customer as well. So how you can, how efficiently, how properly you collect and maintain and represent the data, that's how you can gain the confidence of your users or the stakeholders or the maybe company, quite interesting or checking all these things. All these things are very important.
Okay. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you for that. So after the fantastic question that we got to understand the key components, that is resource utilization, application performance, infrastructure health. Now let's move on to the next question. That uh, Sandeep, you told us that what are the key components, but if I am a AWS DevOps engineer, so what kind of AWS services I should vouch for? What would be the right services for what kind of scenarios? So why don't you throw some light upon the AWS services which might come to us handy, which might help us to set up the monitoring framework onto AWS cloud. So over to you, Sandeep.
Definitely, definitely. So first of all, there are many services in AWS. Okay, now if you ask me particularly a service that do this job kind of one for all, okay, kind of way, okay. So why I'm talking about that? Because in each cloud service provider they have different tool. If we ask about AWS, they have a star feature or star service, that is CloudWatch, okay. So any for example, say you are running one EC2 instance, okay, and that EC2 instance, how much CPU, how much memory, how much, say, network usage, or how much the traffic, no, traffic load will come to the load balancer part. But for example, still all this getting tracked in CloudWatch. you know in a, say, in Saturday evening, how much connection I had, how much that for say 1,000 connection, how much CPU load was there, how much machine instances we spin up, how was the scale up and down, all these things, okay, we are collecting inside the CloudWatch logs. And we can go through all these CloudWatch logs, okay, and then check how can we make this data meaningful. That means we have to learn from it. It wasn't like I'm looking at it and just closing it down. No, we are looking it to make it useful for our next use case, okay. So that's the CloudWatch which give us a feature. Now second one is that there is another very good service that's called AWS X-ray, okay. Now this gives a more of application level, because the another that CloudWatch is more of the infrastructure level, okay. Now if you want the application level latency or maybe some bugs happening, error happening, that detailed error log, okay, that you can get with the help of the AWS X-ray service, okay. Now what about the security? Then we talked about the infrastructure part, we talked about this this particular application level, performance level. Now if it's about the security, who is using what service, when he called that particular service, how much that, maybe that could be cost, right? All this thing, no, not, let's keep the cost part different, because that you have to do some integration. But who did what, okay, if that question arises, for that you need to track, right? That tracking has to be happen by the AWS Cloud Trail. Now you might tell me that, Sandeep, you talked about the machine and instances. Or what about the containers? Like, because these days, everybody would like to run Kubernetes in form of AKS in AWS, right? Or maybe ECS, right? How you track it? Okay, for this particular thing, okay, there is a service, or say it's part of AWS, CloudWatch, that called Container Insight. So if a container dying, or if a container spin off, or a container having, say, any kind of error, okay, why this happening, all these logs, all these details when it happening, okay, all this tracking you can do with the help of the container insights, which fall under the CloudWatch. So CloudWatch is a big service, okay, I'll say, that has many sub services which will be very useful. Okay, that includes the log collection as well, not just the monitoring, it also do the log collections. Yes. Yeah, Dheeraj, do you? These are the main thing I wanted to cover.
Okay, Sandeep, thank you for covering that. We spoke about Amazon CloudWatch, X-Ray, CloudTrail. Would you like to show a small glimpse about how exactly the dashboard of CloudWatch looks like, or AWS X-Ray or CloudTrail?
Definitely.
What kind
Yeah,
of log it is?
definitely.
So as it is
Yeah,
Sandeep Das, we can actually expect the real-time things that Sandeep would be Sandeep can showcase and people can understand that. So here
definitely,
we go.
definitely.
So Sandeep, over to
Okay.
you.
So this is, it's a personal account. Of course, I cannot show my client account, which we have many instances and all. But if you go to CloudWatch, okay, CloudWatch, yeah, just search by the CloudWatch, and you will see. Let's see if I have. I think I ran many instances last week, so if I can have that data at least. Okay, let's see, 1 week. Not alarm. Okay. Now I have this dashboard. It's automatic dashboard more often. Okay. So if for EC2, right now there's not, if you see, yeah, see the CPU utilization, because I was running so many instances for demos and all. This is more of a demo account. See, this gives us the data, instance, how much, I mean, this particular EC2 instance, what is the CPU utilization, what is the network utilization, okay, what is the network out, like all this, like status checks and all. But if you, now one thing is that if you want to track the memory or any advanced metric, you have to actually install the this CloudWatch agent inside the particular instance. Then only you can track. But by default, you can track this CPU utilization. This is the automatic dashboard. Okay, but you can create your own dashboard. For example, just go back to your custom dashboard. Click on this create dashboard, and then just give, say, demo dashboard. There is a first of, let me show you quickly. Then I'll, okay, you don't, yes, you can think that is allowed probably. Yeah, give it a quick. Now, yeah, how you want? You want to use the numbers in percentage, or you want to lines, stacked data? This up to you how you want to represent the data. Okay. Now, what do you want to see, the matrices or logs? Mainly, we want the matrices. Now, untitled graph. Okay, we didn't select any services. So for that, you can even add the custom queries. Okay, let me quickly go to the EC2. Yeah, EC2, and EC2 have per instance metrics, and there you have this many data, say CPU create balance and all that. Now you can just select all, okay, and create a widget of that. Now see, so all the CPU data and all the instance data, it give you all the like, I have just added all, but it's up to you what are the matrices. Maybe you just want the CPU and don't want all these other things, so you can just, you can edit it. There is of course edit option available here, so you can go ahead and edit it. Okay, and maybe you just don't not want everything, but just the CPU data. So such you can even search here also. Go down, CPU, look here, CPU, yeah, credit usage or utilization. These two, I think, the more important one. I think that because that is not running. So to see what instance that you want, see that was the demo instance. How was the usage and all? You can see probably here. So this is, you can keep adding different widget, whatever you like, okay, and that you can show here. I think, yeah. So this is all about adding different you say widget where you can monitor, okay, and that's, don't just monitor based on your findings. Suppose one instance having too much CPU usage, then you should actually go to instance and check for the logs, mainly their kernel logs, and it's a kernel panic or system logs, then find out what is the error. Okay, so this is all about the CloudWatch. And if you go to CloudWatch, if you see, there are many you go down, see in particular to CloudWatch, there is alarms, there is logs, log groups, log trail, matrices, all the metrics, X-ray that I was talking about, events. You can create custom events, application monitoring, say surveillance map, resource health, system synthetic candidates. All this you can track. Insight, see container insight, Lambda insight. So all these things you will have. Okay, that is the CloudWatch. Now the CloudTrail also is actually, can go to CloudTrail. Yeah, just leave this one. See dashboard, and see when like put dashboard. See that, so right now I have created dashboard, right? And it tracked all that. See create like put dashboard. See monitoring, that is tracked by, and see what is the access key used, and like who is the username, and all that's getting tracked. Okay, see is das username is das 031. So all this is getting tracked. Okay, so that's how the monitoring works. Yeah, there is. You're mute, I think. You're mute, Dheeraj.
Sorry about that. So
No.
thank you, Sandeep, for sharing a glimpse about that. So I can see that we went through the entire CloudWatch dashboard. That what are log groups, what are live tailing logs, log insights, and everything, along with the representation of the CloudWatch dashboard. How we can create it based on our requirements. It can be a bar graph or some other kind of charts. So. Would you like to just show us one glimpse about X-ray, because X-ray is one of the service, AWS service, where I do understand right now we don't you might not have any network workloads which might be running onto your machine, but at least people should know that X-ray kind of service exists and what exactly is the existence of that specific X-ray. So what do you say, Sandeep? So Sandeep, I guess you're on mute.
Yeah, I got mute.
uh,
So yeah,
yes, yes.
see, just search for the X-ray. Okay, okay, and yeah, right now you don't have anything, so set up a demo app. You can set up and create say application with cloud formation. I can do that. Let me see if it doesn't take that much time. I will definitely. So, so we have to actually create all that. Now you can just see when this is the page where you can do set. I
Yeah.
think I don't
So
have the setup
Sandeep,
here right now.
I think that will take a lot of time. So I think you can
Yeah.
just showcase the CloudTrail logs instead of this, because it will require a lot of time as per my understanding,
Yeah,
because it
CloudTrail, I
creates a proper chart with networking and
yeah.
all.
Yeah. So it takes time also. That's why.
Yes, yes.
See, CloudTrail, I just show them already. While showing the
Yeah.
CloudWatch, just after that, I show the
Mhm.
CloudTrail. Just go to the dashboard of the CloudTrail. You see the last edit put call.
Yes.
I create a dashboard, right? So that dashboard is actually, you see that API call got locked here. Put
Mhm.
dashboard, and the thing is that who is that? See, my username got locked. Okay, SD031. Okay.
Okay. So Sandeep, what I can understand from
Mm,
CloudTrail dashboard that you were showing that,
mm,
so whatever events which are happening as part of
mm,
this specific uh, AWS cloud that we are working upon on for a specific account. So, for example, suppose if I am putting an object in S3 bucket, so it will generate an event over there, which will be a put object. If I am deleting that, it would be delete object. If I am reading that, it would be list object. So that means all the events which happens as part of our AWS
mm.
account are getting tracked over there.
Can you repeat once? I think
So
it's fine.
whatever events which
Mm,
happens, so whatever APIs we are triggering as part of
mm,
the AWS console or AWS
mm.
activity, so all this gets tracked as part of AWS
Exactly.
CloudTrail.
Exactly. So as I say, I am user. Okay, whatever activity I do, okay, or maybe it's not just I am user. Any service that is uh, working with the IAM services. Okay, I'll just say I'm using Lambda to create a S3 bucket or uploading something. So all these are API calls, right? Lambda doing, but a Lambda need access to do perform all these things. That also getting tracked. Okay, so that's why whatever happening that require authorization. Okay, Either I am user, I'm doing the this thing, or maybe a service is acting in behalf of any IAM say role, or maybe user that doing the thing. So everything get tracked, who is doing what. That what the this cloud will track, like who is doing calling what service, mainly
Okay,
that part.
that's fantastic to know. So Sandeep, before we move ahead to the next
Mhm.
question, what I can see that we have a quick question from one of our viewer.
Mhm.
So let me bring
Definitely,
that
definitely.
question up for you.
Mhm.
So the question is, hello sir, if CloudWatch is powerful enough, then why DevOps engineers use third-party monitoring tool? That's a relevant question.
Yeah, sometimes cost is a big factor. Okay, so if you see too much logs, too much data, and all that, and you have to download the data and then share with the people. You see, two cost become the headache. One is the data cost. Okay, the moment you are uploading to AWS, all free. Okay, input is free. The moment you have to start downloading things and taking all that, then you start bearing the cost. Okay. Uh, then the thing is that that sometimes you need more advanced features. Sometimes of course cloud Agent have good features, but it doesn't have everything that you need. Okay, you might have very very fine-tuned requirement. For that, you see any third party tool that doing good job, you might want to go for that one, right? So it's all comes to the requirement that you have. If you just need the monitoring, okay, and the resource utilization, or maybe log collection, all good, you can go for only that CloudWatch. But if you have some kind of, say, SMS alerting with the monitoring tool itself. Now, for example, AWS, if you want to get SMS alerts or maybe call alerts for any particular event, you need to use the AWS SNS service. Okay. But if you want a tool which already include that, okay, maybe there's a part of subscription, then you may want to go for that one. It's all up to you. Do you want to work and make your own solution, or you want to have the ready-made solution that you want to go for? It's all come to that. Okay, so it's all about the requirement that you have and what matching with that, say, the particular service that AWS is giving, and you're choosing between that.
Thank you, Sandeep, for answering that. So upon that, again, we have a next question. Next question for you.
Mhm.
So it's let me bring that up on the screen for you. So the next question, Sandeep, is how can we send our microservices
Hmm.
running on our managed nodes to different CloudWatch log groups? Each microservices should have its own CloudWatch log group.
So it's saying how can we say Microsoft running? Yeah, I told you the services, right? AWS, that container insights. Using that, you can track it. So that way, you will see even for each services or each deployment, also you'll see different log groups. Yes, not log group, but just you will find inside the particular component itself.
So I think Sandeep is referring to log streams. So whenever we are creating a log group under that, based on the different activities, different log
Oh,
streams
show
are getting
yeah, show the
created.
question again. I think it's
Okay.
container, right? Or okay, my okay. I think running. Okay, manage. Okay, manage to different cloud watch log groups. Each. How can we say into the yeah? So if okay, so Microsoft manage nodes. Is it about like container? Like is microservice talking about? So is it container or just we need more context, right? To make say any suggestion on that. Like is it you're talking about the EKS manage nodes or what?
Okay.
That's the
So
thing, right?
so I guess there is a return, follow-up question to you,
Yes.
Rahul. So if you can
Yes.
elaborate more, then Sandeep would be in a very good shape to answer your question.
Right, right. Otherwise,
So
I
yeah.
can get complete answer. If I don't understand that question well, how can you give the proper answer, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sandeep. So, Sandeep, one more question which comes in your way is insights on how to get logs for a particular instance. So maybe he is saying that
Mhm.
he's targeting for a one specific instance, and for that
Hmm.
specific instance, he
So
want to know
you
that
you
how
go
we
to
can.
any so in Linux, every logs is stored on the slash var slash log section. Okay, so go to just that. Of course, you can stream that log. Okay, but you have to do install that CloudWatch monitoring, and you have to stream that log. If you don't want to do that, just go and check the logs. You can just log in into that particular AWS instance or EC2 instance and go to the slash var slash logs folder and check the logs. There will be logs available. You have to go for that one. Yes,
Okay.
for a particular instance.
Okay, thank you, Sandeep. I think you have covered it also. If you want to target
Hmm.
any specific EC2 instance, you have to make sure that if it is not Amazon Linux, so Amazon Linux is having a CloudWatch agent installed for it. But if it is something else where CloudWatch agent is not installed,
No, I think
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you
So
have to make
yeah,
sure
so
that
even
agent is available and
yeah,
start
agent you have
streaming
to
the logs.
install.
Yeah, and
Right.
if you want to stream any specific log, there is one config file as part of AWS CloudWatch agent. So that logging config file you can use, where you can mention that which specific log you want to stream,
Yes.
and while you're streaming it, you also have to mention that into which specific log group you want to maintain
Log
that.
group.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is that
Yeah.
also is one of the option that you can have. So now moving forward, so I guess Sandeep, today questions are not stopping for you, right?
Yes, I saw a lot of questions.
The Sandeep is always ready to have a lot of questions, right? So let's move ahead to next interesting question. So Sandeep, what previously we understood that what are the key components,
Yeah.
okay, that we should look for while we are looking for monitoring. Now let's talk about some strategies
Hmm.
about effective monitoring. So can you some enlighten us with some strategies that comes to your mind for effective AWS monitoring for your account? So over to you, Sandeep.
Yeah, definitely. So when you are going for the monitoring, okay, and of course the effective monitoring, you have to see what you need. Don't try to overkill. Okay, just see. Okay, I have, say for example, 10 instances, and 10 instances. I just want to keep track of the CPU, and just the so maybe you have to install that CloudWatch tool. Say, or say that binary into your instance, and just track the memory. Okay, but just what I'm saying is, just keep track of the thing that you actually need. Don't just track every single data that you have, and that doesn't make sense. So just keep what you need. Okay, and if you, if possible, if I mean, of course, if you enable the, so in monitoring also there is option. Okay, if you want enable the detailed monitoring, it gives a very granular records like each second. Okay, now if you don't, otherwise, if you don't enable the detailed monitoring, I think it's correct, the 5 minute per 5 minute data. So it's up to you how much granular level or fine tune you want to collect the matrices. And the logs, but I think what they already told you, have you can configure the CloudWatch config file, CloudWatch agent config file to stream the logs that you want to collect and all. That's thing. And of course enable the cloud trail as like for all the regions, enable it. Okay, and track, because sometime somehow other people may try to use the account in a bad way, and then you are answerable, like who did what and why, what did we miss, right? So all these things is answer if you enable the cloud trail logs for your all the regions. Okay, that you should do. And application like that we talked about this particular X-ray, right? So if you are running say Lambda application or any serverless application, or maybe your normal application also, you can have the X-ray enabled and keep tracking of all the logs and performance and everything. That will be very useful. Now, why I'm telling all this, there are of course third-party tools available, community-based tools available. So you have to see that is the CloudWatch or maybe some custom integration is easy to integrate with it and get started. If not, do you have the budget to use any other third-party outside tool? You have to make the decision. Not as sometime, most of the times the solution that you have from the third party is so costly. That's why you may want to build the custom solution. For example, what happens? Okay, good practice is that when a CPU low, I mean, for an instance or maybe for a auto scaling group, if on average, okay, the CPU load goes above say 80 or 90, say 80% 70%, you should have alert, you should have a automatic call to your maybe your monitoring team and all, because you need to track something happening, someone try to attack, or someone somehow sudden spike happening that you're not aware of, right? All these things you have to monitor. And another thing is that the certifications. So if you have a certification that's going to rotate, okay, and if you have say WebSocket or say application that need to restart the application that when this kind of rotation happen, then you have to detect that okay, certification change, then there is a CloudWatch event remitter, I mean event available, that should trigger a Lambda function, or maybe trigger the services that you are directly running and just restart or reach, like kind of do rolling update, this kind of thing you have to do, so that there will be no downtime. Okay, and similarly, even for the auto scaling part also, you add a CloudWatch alert. So when suppose you have say five instances running, and you have maxed max, let's say for example 10 or 100, whatever it is, if the existing all instances on average level have usage more than say 70% or say 60%, you should spin up one or two instances based on your use case. You create the instance quickly, okay, so that the the workload that suddenly spike up, that should get more normalized. So all these things you have to plan well. Normally the people who just get started don't know all this. They have to first come to this particular problem statement first, and then they, when they face the issue, they try to fix it, they try to improve the solutions. So it's something that will come naturally, but it's good if you already know about it, you will be more prepared, right? That will be a good
Okay, thank you, Sandeep. So I would like to add my two
thing.
cents over here.
Hmm.
So suppose if I have been asked this question about
Hmm.
strategies of effective
Hmm.
monitoring, so what comes to my mind? So for example, uh, when I have to think about effective monitoring, the first thing that comes to my mind is uh, matrices and threshold. So what are matrices and threshold? That whenever you are enabling any monitoring at that time, there are some matrices that are in place in CloudWatch dashboard. What kind of matrices you have to use? So for example, suppose if I'm saying that I am doing infrastructure monitoring, so as part of infrastructure monitoring, should I have to do I have to monitor the RAM, or I have to monitor the disk utilization? So every application has a different use case. So if some application is heavy on the logging side, it might be a disk usage issue. If somebody is heavy on the RAM side, it can be a RAM issue. So you have to define your strategy based on the matrices and thresholds that your specific application is hitting. Every application is having a different use case. So that is one input. Now talking about second one, which Sandeep already showed, was about the custom dashboards. So what exactly the custom dashboard? So Sandeep showed you that you can create a dashboard by going to CloudWatch console. What he mean by custom dashboard is, in custom dashboard, it's so there are different types of graphs. So for example, there are some bar chart graph, there are line chart graph. So every different matrices that you're monitoring, everything does not fits under bar chart or line chart. You have to understand that the to accurately monitor that matrices, what kind of chart would be the right pick for you. Now, why you have to think that? The reason for that is, you are as a developer going to create that, but as a support person who is going to watch that CloudWatch dashboard and monitor it, it should be visually appealing for him somewhere, and it should be easy for him to understand. Then only then that specific support executive who is looking after the monitoring of your infrastructure would be in a position to go ahead and raise a specific error or some incidents in regards to that. Now, talking about so we spoke about matrices, threshold, and dashboards. Now, if we can also think about automated remediations. So what are automated remediations means? So there are different services. So for automated remediation, the things that might hamper your performance or might hamper your monitoring uh, thresholds that you have set. So for that, you can have some auto remediation. That auto remediation can be done by using AWS Lambda, it can be done by using AWS config, or it can be done by different tools that we already have in place from AWS service, which comes into some security part also. But monitoring also comes under security sometimes. So when it comes to monitoring, it's not only about infrastructure monitoring. It can be WAF monitoring. It can be some object monitoring, for which we have different services. So that is one thing that you have to understand. Now, apart from that, you can also do anomaly detection, in which you can leverage the machine learning based anomaly detection to identify the unusual behavior or potential issues. So when it comes to unusual behavior or this kinds of issue, I think Sandeep, you can add your bit that what I'm trying to say about anomaly detection to identify unusual behavior and
Right.
potential issues.
So there is two kind of, okay, anomaly also. There are a lot of course anomaly happen, but say in network. I mean, I will give you the real time use case that I have faced and I have fixed. Okay, so you know the VPC flow log happen. Okay, and that's very useful. People don't use that much, but I was in charge of a application where there is something happening. People, there's a huge bill happening, and somehow they are not able to find out which particular resource having the issue. So we enable the VPC flow logs. Okay, and then we find out who's making what network level calls. and then found out, okay, this is, we found, okay, this is the IP, which is kind of not proper. There is something going behind that. This will be maybe going to they're making, say for example, say ether, or kind of blockchain kind of stuff happening. Okay, so we found out all this kind of resources. We found out, okay, there is some bots running that's doing all this mischief. So first you have to identify. Since we enable the there's VVC flow logs. From that we run different queries. We found different data. From that we analyze, okay, this particular instances is the culprits. Let's find out the reason, the root cause, to find the issues. Then we created phase instances with some security in mind. Like that time purely I was not there, right? This time, since I was in the particular company, I proposed a new way to implement this and say enable particular some kind of error checking, isolating applications from the particular if the instance itself. All these things we did. Okay, that one particular option has, that is the PVC flow log. Similar way, it's sometimes some spiking. For example, another type of this is one of the blockchain and all these things are running. Another thing that anomaly in the case that for example S3. Okay, in S3 by mistake you are storing not just S3, it's even in your code also. For example, code commit. Okay, yes, somehow I mistake storing the access keys, AWS access key, or maybe some other say Git access keys, or could be any form of secrets. Okay, that detecting also kind of you can do with the help of this kind of machine learning model, Makey, and I think there are new other services also get added of all the time. So we should be using all these things to detect the this kind of problem before even it get leaked. So for example, even if someone is another abnormality, I would say it can be preventable. For example, by mistake in your S3 you have the health records. Okay, and in under HIPAA, if for example by mistake also if you somehow people's health data got leaked, that's a massive blow to any company. Okay, they may have to sell the company to give the fines. All these things, okay, you can help, you can kind of prevent with the preventive measures. But sometimes mistake happens in this kind of machine level, machine learning and all, it will keep you alerting. Even if by mistake some enabled or maybe some data got uh, public for any reason which should not be, you can set custom rules. All these things can be detected. Okay, so this kind of automation, or say machine learning things are actually useful. Another thing, even I will say, there is cost optimization. So for example, you are running some instances, if you use this machine learning cost measure, you'll see in particular time or what should be the optimal EC2 instance type that you should be using instead of maybe higher, maybe lower. All these things they'll suggest. So there are a lot of things. In short, should have a eye towards all that and use that. Okay, I think Dheeraj, if you have any other point to add there, it will be useful.
So I think I just asked about machine learning and anomaly.
Hmm.
What exactly the potential issues can be,
Hmm.
and I guess Sandeep himself gave you guys a real time case study that how
Yeah.
you can optimize the AWS DevOps monitoring, and what should be the factor that you should be looking for when you are doing it in real time for your production workloads. So I think we have covered most of the gray areas that every company, every AWS DevOps engineer would like to cover in
Yeah.
their daily. Yep.
One
Yes,
point
Sandeep.
I missed. Okay, it's not part of anomaly and all, but if you're a DevOps engineer, okay, you are working, say you're using AWS DevOps tool for your day-to-day life. Okay, any for example, you need pipelines. For pipeline, there is AWS code pipeline. For your code storage, there is AWS code commit. For example, your code build, there is AWS code build. Okay, so this from code commit, the code getting pulled to the code build, all the build you're running, that generates a lot of logs. Okay, you of course that's stored in CloudWatch. That just if you don't know, just know that that also gets stored in the CloudWatch. That you can go further and check like what is the root cause and all that. That help you debugging the issue. That also one thing that even if you're not actively doing, and if you're having any issue in the code pipeline or code build, but particularly, then you should be more focused on the code that code build logs. Sometimes what happens, you didn't have the particular access. For example, you are going to fetch or pull some data from S3, or maybe push some data to S3, but you didn't even given code build the role to even have the access to all the services. Those all will find, say, access data or all this kind of thing you'll find in the CloudWatch. So that's a very good tool to have. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I wanted to cover that part.
No
You're
worries,
mute. Yeah.
no worries, Sandeep. Thank you for covering that. So, what I was about to talk about next is, so right now we spoke about a lot of topics
Mm.
which are the gray areas, but upon your question, Sandeep, that you were asking, so that the person has specifically answered to your
Uh,
question. That is Rahul. He has answered that yes, it is EKS managed nodes for which he is
yeah.
asking that question.
So in
So.
EKS Manage Node,
Mm.
you have the option to enable. There is a specific option in the EKS console itself to enable the logs for all the managed nodes. You can just enable that one. That will of course store the logs in CloudWatch only. If you want very detailed component levels like pod level, deployment level, service level, or one of job level, okay, you should be enabling the AWS Container Insight. Now with AWS Container Insight, you can, I mean, that's an option, of course. You can use, there are multiple log collected available, okay? So you can use those. There are a lot of, I mean, of course, there is Kubernetes specific log collectors available, or you can use the AWS CloudWatch log collector, okay? So it's up to you, okay? You have the choices. If you want more detailed monitoring, enable the Container Insight. If you want just the machine level, say management level in logs collection, you just have, in any case you have particular option to enable that. Yeah, you're mute. You got mute again. Yes.
Okay, so the other guy who was asking
Mm,
the question about how to stream logs for a specific
mm,
EC2 instance,
mm.
so he has also replied saying that the instance that he's talking about is a Windows machine, not a Linux machine. So, is there any different process
Okay.
that comes into
Now,
picture when it is
I
Windows
will be
machine?
honest. I'll be bluntly honest here. I don't work with much Windows instances. If you know Dheeraj, you can tell. I mean, I don't have the idea
Uh,
because 90%, 90. I mean, the in my career, 99.9% I work with the Linux instances. So
So,
not that much idea.
so
So
for
go on.
Windows also, my answer would be the same. So you can configure that in the configuration file of CloudWatch
No, I
agent
mean
that you're going to
which
use.
folder? I think they're asking which folder, because I told for Linux you go to slash say var slash log, right? But for Windows we had to look for the log. I think that.
So for Windows, usually, so wherever your application logs are getting
Mm,
logged, so I cannot tell you that the specific location of the
mm,
logs. I
mm.
think while you're configuring, for example, suppose if you are running your application on a web server that is Apache, so Apache is having a specific,
HE logs.
yeah. So where it is going to do
It
that.
depends. It depends. It depends
Yeah,
the application to
and if it
application.
is
True.
IIS, it is something else. So IIS is specifically for Windows. So different flavors based on that. But what we are trying to say is the log path that you have. So you just have to mention that log path as part of your CloudWatch configuration file. So previously it was CloudWatch agent, but now it is a CloudWatch logs agent also. So there are difference between both of them. One is a lighter one, another one is because the first one used to come with some limitation. So you can check out that which one suits your need, and based on that you can configure that into the configuration file. If you are not able to do that, you don't know how to do that, so there is one more option which is known as CloudWatch Wizard. So what is CloudWatch Wizard? CloudWatch Wizard is a utility that you can run, which can help you to create that specific login file in which you will have to provide the details, and it will automatically create the configuration for you into the config file. But just remember one thing. Suppose if there is one file for RAM usage that you want to push to CloudWatch, you have to make sure when you are using that config file, your log group should be in place.
Mm.
It is not going to create the log group for you.
Yes,
So
yes,
the
you have
log
to
group
have
should
already.
be previously created. Then you
Yes.
can route it to the specific log group. Otherwise, it is not going to send the logs directly by creating a new log group. So that is the difference. So log group creation is only done for specific services like that you are running from AWS console, AWS. That is, if you're running Lambda, so it will create a Lambda log group for that. If you're running any specific service, but for different use cases, for some of the use cases, it does not create the log group. You will have to create if you want some custom logs to be streamed to CloudWatch logs. So I think that is the answer that comes from my experience. I guess Sandeep, I think that is a relevant input that I have given, right?
Good, good. Yes, definitely.
Okay. So now moving towards the end. So Sandeep, the final question, but it is of a great value because people should have a flashback at what exactly we have discussed. So what are the actionable takeaways that you want to give to your audience in terms of effective mastering AWS DevOps monitoring? As part of their day-to-day activities. So, what are the actionable takeaways you would like to give?
First of all, that you should plan things early. What happens, if you do it late, people will ask you and you don't have the data. So if you have to give them the data anyway. You have to just, if suppose someone, when they're saying that we need to know in last month how many instances you utilized, or maybe in the particular auto scaling, how many that in a 1 week, particular week, how many resource utilization was there, or maybe you have, I mean, what was the CPU usage, what was the memory usage, or was the network usage, or maybe in S3 how much data you stored at the particular timeline. All these things, okay, all these things people might ask the infrastructure or platform engineering or DevOps team, whatever the team that you are in as a DevOps engineer, because DevOps engineer is a vast terminology, right? It's under a lot of kind of sub jobs available. For example, infrastructure engineer and all that. So whatever position you are in, all good. Just you need to have the data. Okay, even if you're SRE, doesn't matter. You need to have the data ready to give it to the stakeholders, whoever are asking for that data, right? Now you should be planning early so that you are not less prepared. You'll have well prepared. We'll have the data to share with them. Okay, so plan early. That's my point. Second point is that choose the relevant metric. Even in the beginning also I was saying that you should not just collect all the metrics, and then that, which doesn't make sense. So collect metrics, collect the logs which you actually, so collect only important log, collect only important metrics. For example, CPU usage, memory usage, maybe the network usage, maybe the error logs, because 500 error happening, okay, that log. Or maybe like 400 errors happen, which is more of a client error, but 500, which is the more server side errors. Okay, so those things which are more important to you, track those things first. Okay, then if you have the luxury, then you can go for other, but you usually just go for the sort of optional which you don't give any value, optional data, maybe for, okay, for some debugging. But important, if any crash happens, if any issue happens, that log you should be always tracking for the root cause analysis. Okay, then what you're taking, for example, a very good thing that the last one I will tell about the uh, events. Okay, all this event happened. For example, one instance got died, stopped. Okay, for example, you have in max scaling, you said maybe 10 or 20, 30, 40, and that got filled. You should have an active alert system. Okay, if that happens, if your all resource got utilized that you have already predefined, you should have a SMS, you should have a call, or you should have some form, maybe email notification, whatever it is. You should have some kind of alerting so that you know something happening and you need to react. And sometimes, even if you don't have that, okay, even if you don't want to deal with it, you should have the next plan of step. So if it reach the 100 instances, if I don't do anything for next within 10 20 minutes, it should automatically spin the maybe next 10 instances. It will increase that list. All this automation you can do with the help of, say, for example, if it speaks specifically to the AWS, you have Lambda, which you can do, like give the Lambda enough permission, and on your behalf, whatever you program with Lambda, that should respond against that event. Okay, so you can program all that if you want to, right? So automation, of course, is the key set, and automation happen with the events. So keep the track of the events, and based on the different events, you should have your automation ready in place so that it will help you. Many cases it's just night 3 a.m., right? I might not wake up, but it should be handled. It should not be problem for other users. Okay, so it's helping us to minimize the manual intervention also, right? So that you should be always goal for that. And another point, maybe just I was saying last was, another point is that, you know, we make mistakes, okay? We make mistakes, and like even if you do like, if you do 110%, you build something, there will be error, there will be failures. This all this monitoring on all these tools help us to track of what going wrong so that we can fix it. That's why it's even more important. So it's not like you should skip for now and maybe we'll do later. No, you should do it right now so that you don't regret later. Okay. Dheeraj, I think I told him enough. Yes.
So I guess
Dheeraj.
you have almost covered each and every point that we
Yeah.
are looking for, and I don't think that we have any open questions. So thank you, Sandeep, for giving out your time and actually sharing your insights and strategies that AWS DevOps engineer can use in terms of effective monitoring, in terms of covering the gray areas. So instead of these kinds of use case actually gives a
Mm,
cutting edge to cutting edge input to an engineer where they don't start from scratch. They know that
yes.
okay, if I am going in terms of monitoring, so I have understood from my mentors or from my seniors that we should not focus upon all the garbage logs that are already in place, and we should not focus about what kind of strategies I should define. So there are already strategies in place for which you gave examples, Sandeep. You gave like you told them that for different sectors what kind of uh, logs are important, and I also gave one example saying that you have to understand that if you are creating a dashboard for monitoring, which is the right graph that you should use for your audience, that is your support team, who is going to use it in terms of monitoring that specific infrastructure monitoring or some other kind of monitoring, that is security monitoring in terms of that. So I think we have covered most of the points. Thank you, Sandeep, for your time. Really appreciate that. Thank you, people, for watching the video. I know this is just a start where these are
Yeah.
difficult topics, which does not brings in that energy because we are not talking about how
Yeah.
we can create money, how we can earn in dollars, or
Yes.
how we can do a lot of things. So the thing that we are discussing about, these are what we do
Yeah.
as a DevOps engineer on our daily as our daily task. And trust me, guys, when you're a DevOps engineer, this kinds of use case will come at your
And so,
doorstep every day.
and
Yes,
what another very good point is that, just so what we do on a day-to-day basis, and what gets shown, okay, it's actually is different, because the issues that you face in real life, it's not as it is we are saying something, right? It's not that easy. And because, for example, in a Jenkins you're running, okay, Jenkins server logs, we also can stream to CloudWatch, okay, and that implementation itself, even though we are saying is easy, it's not as easy. You will see a lot of uh, a lot of issues will come while the implementation happen, and that's why your learning stand, okay. Nothing is easy. Even if it looks simple, it's not easy. You have to learn so that it will become easy to you as you go forward, okay. That's a point I want to make. So people may make it look easy, I can try to explain it easy way, but the moment you put your hands on a particular thing, you will feel the heat, you will see how complicated it is. But if you go through all that, if you learn and make it happen, it will become simpler. That's the important part here.
yes, correct. So guys, whatever we discussed today, this all comes as part of cloud operations. What are
Yeah.
cloud operations? So these are all cloud operation. Monitoring is part of cloud operation. So when you're working as a DevOps engineer, this specific category you have to work upon. Where right now we have just spoken about the strategies, but to deploy this strategy, you will have to use infrastructure as a code, that can be Terraform
Yes.
or that can be CloudFormation. You have to develop automation by using AWS Lambda. You have to use events. That means you will have to use Event Bridge
Hmm.
or
Yes.
CloudWatch events. So a lot of things are actually very closely associated with all the stuff that we discussed today. So we hope you enjoyed the session, and trust me, cloud operations is one of the uh, daily roles and responsibilities that will come your way. So be prepared. Don't take it lightly. And trust me, all documentation is online available. As Sandeep said, you just have to
Yeah.
make your hands dirty. So just
Yes.
make your hands dirty, and you will see the success that you're looking for while you're working as a DevOps engineer in terms of problem solving. So thank you guys for joining the session today. see you then for the next episode. So next episode might be more interesting, and the way Sandeep joined today, there might be someone else who would be joining and throwing some more light onto some interesting topic which are relevant topic to your daily roles and responsibilities. Those are not relevant uh, about those won't be 100 level topics. So all the topics we would be talking about, it would be 200 or 300 that engineer works upon on the daily basis. So thank you, have a great day. And what not a great day, so Sandeep, I think we should say that thank you and have a great weekend ahead. It's
Exactly.
tonight.
Right, right, right.
See you
Sure.
guys,
Have a
bye
nice
for now.
weekend, guys. Yep. Bye, everyone.